Good evening and welcome to Negro Leaguers in Puerto Rico, Josh Gibson in Puerto Rico. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Negro Leaguers in Puerto Rico. Jorge Colon Delgado, I'm joined by. Hello again, Jorge. How are you?
How are you, Adam? Very happy to be with you another episode of this project that we have together, Negro Leaguers in Puerto Rico.
Yes, I'm very excited about this one because I know quite a bit about Josh Gibson, but I don't know a lot about his time in Puerto Rico. So I'm very excited to learn how that experience was for him and the impact that he made.
Yeah, and you know that I made up this presentation for the Josh Gibson Foundation, and I made some investigation. I knew that Josh Gibson was a great player, but not so great. And I think when you see all this presentation that we have tonight, uh, frankly, if he's not the best, he has to be top three of all time. Before we begin with the presentation, I want to show this shirt, a present from my friend Sean Gibson, president of the Josh Gibson Foundation. Hope he's seeing the program today. Special hello to Sean and another great person of that foundation, Thomas Kern. So to the both of them, hello and hope you enjoy this again. So let's begin with the presentation of Josh Gibson in Puerto Rico. In 1933-34, promoters in Puerto Rico asked Ramiro Ramirez to gather a good team of Negro Leaguers for the upcoming season. In Puerto Rico, they celebrated in the winters from 1931 to 1936 Winter League, but they were not organized as the Liga de Béisbol Profesional of Puerto Rico. And different teams came from Dominican Republic, uh, Mexico, Cuba, and Venezuela, and they came to Puerto Rico. Also, white teams from the United States, and they played from October to January, February, and that's when we saw, besides Josh Gibson, Leon Day, Martin Diego, etc., etc. So Ramiro Ramirez went to the States and he gathered that uh, great team. You're going to see it right now. He called him the Estrellas de Ramirez. That was when they arrived to Puerto Rico. You see in the front row, Thomas Richardson, Josh Gibson, James Williams, David Thomas, John Stanley, Harry Salmon, and Rap Dixon. And standing, Dixie, William Casey, Otis Starks, Harry Williams, Ted Page, Leroy Morney, and Ramiro Ramirez, the manager. This is Ramiro Ramirez from Cuba. He also played in the Negro Leagues.
What a team that is.
What,
Wow.
huh?
What a team that is. Wow.
Yeah, what a team, yeah. And when the ship arrived to the San Juan dock, a reporter asked Harry Williams, because they didn't know Josh Gibson in Puerto Rico, not too much. And they said, how about that Josh Gibson? He said, Josh Gibson is physically solid. He has a terrifying, powerful bat. You will see. So that season was played at the Scambron Park. That's a picture of 1932 when they were going to inaugurate it. And it was a great ballpark. The first cement constructed ballpark in Puerto Rico, Scambron Ballpark. It was inaugurated in November 1932. So this next November is the 90th anniversary. Okay.
San Juan's Escambron Stadium had an outfield wall that was ringed by trees growing about 50 feet back. Josh often nailed drives that disappeared into the trees distances close to 500 feet away in the tropical heavy air. After each one, a stadium worker was sent to climb the high branches to hang a glittering marker on where each ball was last seen. I love that.
And I got a picture of that ballpark, air view. Look at that. This is the stands. These are the pines.
Oh,
Okay?
wow.
And the dimensions of the park was 385, 386, and 425. But what happens is that for a home run, you have to bat it over the trees, the pine trees. Look at that line.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and those trees stood there since 1932 to 1942. And when Josh Gibson disappeared, those homers went over those pines. You have to be very strong to hit a homer here in this park.
Yeah, it looks that way for sure. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Here is the team, in uniform. You can see him from the front row: Ramiro Ramirez, William Casey, Leroy Morning, Dixie, Otis Starks, and Harry Williams. And standing, Ted Page, John Stanley, John Blake, Rap Dixon, Jim Williams, Joshua Gibson, very young here,
Mm.
David Thomas, and Harry Salmon. This is a one more near: Josh Gibson, Ramiro Ramirez, and pitcher John Stanley. Okay, go ahead, Adam.
So these are some of Josh Gibson's highlights with Estrellas de Ramirez. So he was named captain of the team. And the Estrellas de Ramirez debut was on Saturday, November 25th, at the beginning of the 3-game series against the Brooklyn Giants. The lineup was Ted Page, Herbert Rap Dixon, David Thomas, Joshua Gibson fourth, Harry Davis at third, James Williams in left field batting sixth, Leroy Maroney, shortstop batting seventh, Dick Say, second base, batting eighth, and Stanley, the pitcher, was batting ninth. They won 7-2. Gibson immediately got the attention of the fans while hitting 2 powerful hits, one against the cement wall in left field. On the first of a doubleheader on Sunday, Las Estrellas got their second win, 9-6, with Rap Dixon getting 4 hits. In the second game, the Brooklyn Giants won 8-4.
So they play only mostly Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays one game, Sundays a doubleheader. Then the promoters decided to celebrate a series called Trofeo del Mundo between Estrellas de Ramirez, Almendares, and White Star Line. The winner will get a trophy. There was a $25 prize for the first player to hit a home run, and Gibson won with a homer that cleared the center field wall. Those present said that never have seen someone hit the ball so far. Las Estrellas won the series 8-6. The best hitters were Ramon Monchile Concepcion, Lázaro Salazar, Josh Gibson with 3.33 was third, and Rap Dixon the same as James Williams. Ramon Monchile Concepcion batted 3.64. That $25, when he hit the first homer, the person went to give him the check, and Joshua Gibson didn't know that was a prize, and he looked for the he looked the check, and he put it in his pants, smiling. Oh, they give you money for hitting homers. That's what Puerto Rico was very peculiar in that thing. Also, when the batter hit a home run, he came after he came to his the dugout. The people began to put in on the chicken fence bills, $1 bills, $5 bills, so to give it to the guy. Then you can see him picking the money and putting in his pan. But he used the cap,
Mm-hmm.
and he filled the cap with all the money.
Oh, that's awesome. The Estrellas de Ramirez left Puerto Rico. Josh Gibson and Rap Dixon went to the Dominican Republic to play with Concordia. They won the Copa Presidente del Senado and came to Puerto Rico for a series against Almendares.
I didn't get. There's no photo I have seen of Concordia in Puerto Rico of that team. That was taken in Dominican Republic.
Mm-hmm.
But this was the team that came to Puerto Rico.
Oh wow, look at this team! Holy cow!
Name them.
We got Cesar Nieves, who I don't know. Luis Aparicio Sr. I recently found him when I did find a site that has some Venezuelan league stats, and I found Luis Aparicio, and it was indeed his father. So I was like, oh, wow, this is amazing. Like, we've got these generational players that I didn't know about, which we'll get to another one that you and I talked about before the show later. Manuel Malpica, Rap Dixon again, Silvino Ruiz, and then standing in the back, we have Marcelino Blondet. One of my favorites here is one Tetelo Vargas, Martin Dihigo, who everyone should know, Joshua Gibson, Dihigo and Gibson in the same lineup, and then Arturo Lopez, the manager.
Yes, and when I saw that team, I knew that Concordia always had good teams, and this has to be the best team. And I said, well, I didn't know the results, so I said this team will have to won every game, but there was a big surprise. This is the picture when they arrived to Puerto Rico. You can see here, this is Luis Aparicio Sr. And standing, here's Josh Gibson, here's Rap Dixon, and here's the great Martin Diego. Those were the most famous players of that team, but it was a great team. Now, here comes the surprise. Read them. Tell them.
So Concordia got defeated 3 times in 5 games with 1 win and 1 tied score. The first 3 against Almendares with a score of 8-4, 19-17, and 9-3. And versus Puerto Rico All-Stars, they won 8-4 and tied 8-8. So wow, only 1 win out of 5 games. Amazing.
And this is the detail that the Negro Leaguers only played 3. It was supposed to be a series of 7 games. They lowered to 5 games, and then and the Negro Leaguers only played 3 games. So after those 3 defeats, Josh Gibson and Rap Dixon and the other Negro Leaguers returned to the United States. But this is the box score. The first game that they lost 8-4. Josh Gibson 2 hits in 5 at bats. And they were defeated 8-4. Okay. Then the second win was a slugfest. Gibson batted for the cycle with 2 homers, 2 doubles, 1 triple, 1 single, 5 runs, and 8 RBIs. Still, they lost 19-17. 6-6. Here's Gibson and the Eagle, 2 hits. And you got here Williams with 5 hits, 21 hits here. And Alejandro Ohms got 1 hit.
Scored 3 times, though. It looks like Ohms was causing havoc some other way.
Yeah. So I think that defeat, they didn't like it too much. They thought they were going to be better on the field. And in the 3rd game, they were defeated 9-3. Game ending in the 8th inning because of darkness. Gibson played catcher and right field. After this game, Gibson and Rap Dixon returned to the United States. Gibson here batted 1 hit and 3 at bats. We have here the best batters. Triples, Josh Gibson with 1 tie with Jimmy Williams and Julio Rojo. He was first 2 in doubles with 2 tie with Luis Salazar, and in stolen base with 1. What gets me the interest about Gibson that he was always in the first 3 in every category, no matter what category. He was such a versatile player. So Gibson then went to return to Puerto Rico in 1936. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, in the front row, we have Ralph Bergen, we have Leon Day, Hall of Famer, we have Jimmy Crutchfield, we have Sam Bankhead, who many think should be a Hall of Famer. Dick
Mhm.
Say, Hall of Famer Ray Dandridge and Ed Stone. And then standing on the left, we have two unknown players. And then yet another Hall of Famer in Satchel Paige. We have Mrs. Satchel Paige, Mrs. Joshua Gibson, Josh Gibson, Bob Evans, and another really stellar pitcher, Leroy Matlock. Wow.
The manager for that team was going to be Vic Harris, but that team belonged to Ifa Manley,
Mm-hmm.
and they had problem with with the money. What he wanted a certain amount of money, and they didn't agree. So Ifa gave the opportunity to Josh Gibson to manage. So that means, and I thought that this Gibson only managed Santurce in 1939, but no, he also managed the Brooklyn Eagles in 1936. And the two opportunities that he had as a manager was in Puerto Rico with the
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn Eagles and with Santurce.
That's interesting. Is that something that he strived for in his career? Like you hear about Babe Ruth just always wanted to be a manager and was never able to get it. Was that something that was a goal of Gibson's that you know of?
No, I haven't read about it or hear about it, but players respect him. So and for Ifa Manley and Pedrin Zorrilla to give him the chance to manage a team, he had to have something.
Right.
And that's an interesting point because what Ruth didn't get to manage, Josh Gibson got to manage two times.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the roster of the Brooklyn Eagles. Go ahead, Adam.
Oh man, this is another great one. Gibson, manager and catcher of the Pittsburgh Crawfords. Then we have Ralph Bergen, also catcher of the Pittsburgh Crawfords. George Giles, first base for the New York Black Yankees. Dick Say, second base, also for the Crawfords. George Scales, third base for the Black Yankees. Dandridge at short for the New York Eagles. Bankhead in left, because that guy played everywhere for the Pittsburgh Crawfords. Crutchfield in center, also Crawfords. Ed Stone in right, Newark Eagles. We had Satchel Paige pitching, also Crawfords. Leon Day, Newark Eagles. Leroy Matlock, also of the Crawfords. And lastly, Bob Evans, also of the Newark Eagles.
And you see there are four Hall of Famers: Josh Gibson, Ray Dandridge, Satchel Paige, and Leon Day. And they're talking a lot of George Scales to be
Right.
considered in the next one in 2023. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, so the highlights with the Brooklyn Eagles here. Josh Gibson was named manager after Vic Harris declined because of salary issues. The teams who participated in the tournament, we just read some of them off: Brooklyn Eagles, New York Black Yankees, Asheville, Akron, and Ponce. Gibson the debut as the manager was on November 28th, 1936, with a win over Asheville 21-1. Brooklyn also won the doubleheader on Sunday 9-3 and 11-6. In the morning game, Gibson had an inside the park home run. Overall, he batted 10-8. Is that 8 for 10
Eight
in the
for 10.
series? 8
Yeah,
for 10 in the series with one homer and two doubles. Just the 800 batting average,
Yeah.
The Eagles won the tournament easily with a record of 15-4-2, and Gibson led in batting at 607 for the whole tournament. Wow.
And I know people that are seeing the program, but I have to emphasize that we're talking about a catcher.
Right.
That's the most difficult position in baseball, and to see a catcher running, catching, batting, power, average, you know, he was an amazing player. Then after that, I'm almost sure that Pedrin Zorrilla saw him in those games, and as Pedrin Zorrilla was a fan of Josh Gibson and offered Gibson the management of Santurce Cangrejeros. And here we see in October 20, 1939, Pedrin Zorrilla, the owner of Santurce, welcomes Joshua Gibson at the Isla Grande Airport. It was a Friday, October 20, 1931. And that photo. We can see that's the beginning of a great friendship between Pedrin Zorrilla and Joshua Gibson, a friendship for life. Santurce played at the Cito Escobar Stadium before it was the Escambron Park, the one with the pines. You see that park had pines everywhere.
Yeah.
That's the front. That's the front of the park, and you can see all the pine trees. Um, this is the Santurce team, 1939-40. That was the first time that Santurce played because the league was established in 1938, and there was an expansion in 1939. The expansion teams were Santurce and Aguadilla. Aguadilla was managed by George Scale, and Leon Day was the pitcher. I'm going to read the roster for Santurce. Almost everyone, every player is in Spanish. Front row, Guillermo Angulo, Manuel Rosario, Manuel Ramirez, Oscar Mangual. This guy is the bad boy, Puki Muñiz, Joaquín Vila, Liborio Ramirez, Ramón Carrión, and Rafael Concepción. Rafael Concepción is the brother of Monchile Concepción. Then you can see here Raúl Acosta. Here's Monchile Concepción, Guillermo Calderón, Eduardo Nichols. And they can have the league. You could, as a team, contract 3 important players. For Santurce that year were Billy Bird, Josh Gibson, and Dixie. Billy Bird was tremendous in Puerto Rico with Santurce, and the next year with Caguas, one of the best pitchers to see action in Puerto Rico. And here we can see the 3 important players of Santurce: Billy Bird, Josh Gibson, and Dixie, with bad boy Puki Muñiz.
I mean, look at him there. Billy Bird is a big guy, and Josh Gibson's just huge.
Look at his broad his shoulders. No. Go ahead.
All right, November 5th, 1939, at Cito Escobar Stadium, Josh Gibson played catcher, first base, pitcher, and third base. Guayama won 23-0 with Satchel Paige on the mound, who additionally got 3 hits and 6 at-bats. Perucho Cepeda was a perfect 6 for 6. Gibson pitched a third of an inning. Also, Totelo Vargas robbed Gibson of a home run by catching the ball, running into the trees in center field.
The pine trees.
Yeah.
And here you see the box score. Gibson, catcher, first base, pitcher, and third base. He only got 1 hit against Satchel Paige. This
box score is wild. It looks like nothing was working, so they just tried putting Gibson anywhere to try to stop the bleeding, so to speak. This is an unbelievable scoreline here.
Yeah, and here in Guayama, you see Tetelo Vargas, Bill Perkins, Perucho Cepeda, and Satchel Paige. 3 hits got Paige pitching, and he batted and pitched that game.
Wow, that's some bragging rights. So Perucho Cepeda, of course, is the father of Orlando Cepeda. I wanted to ask, we already mentioned 2 brothers, I believe, Concepcion's. Any relation to David Concepcion there, or is that just
No, David is from Venezuela.
Ah, yes, that's right.
Yeah, and then these 2 are from Santurce. And that you see there, that's a combo of father and son. Frankly, I don't think there's a father and son combo as the Cepedas, because they led the league in batting, and every time they make an all-star or of the century or whatever, 75 years of the league, shortstop is Perucho Cepeda, first base is Orlando Cepeda. No competition there. Now, please read the highlights.
Yeah, I see we got another one here with Perucho Cepeda, and I was just going to say, my plan is I hope that we can do these as long as possible so we can get an entire episode on Perucho Cepeda, because I think he would be really fascinating. So, highlights in the Puerto Rico Professional Baseball League in 39-40. Gibson was the runner-up at bat with 380, and he was just behind Cepeda, who had a 383 batting average. So, again, this is a guy who is out-hitting Gibson, so it just kind of shows you how great that player was. He led the league in home runs with 6, preventing Cepeda from winning the Triple Crown, which means that Cepeda, of course, led the league in runs batted in. And his record as a manager was 24-25 as his team finished in 4th place.
Pe- Perucho Cepeda received three invitations to go to the Negro Leagues. One by Vic Harris, the first one by Alex Pompes, then by Vic Harris, and then Clarence Palm. But he had a very temperament, very bad temperament, and he knew that he could not deal with the segregation in the United States. But we're going to do a special program about Perucho. Although he didn't play in the Negro Leagues, he deserves a program.
Oh yeah.
So in 1941-42, they installed an inner fence at Cito Escobar Stadium. This is the fence, the original fence, cement wall. These are the pine trees. So now they put an inner fence here, so it's a little bit more easier to hit a home run. That uh, I didn't get the new dimensions of the ballpark anywhere. So, but maybe 15 feet less than what they had, maybe 340. And that season of 1941-42 was magical for Josh Gibson. When he came, he arrived on Tuesday, October 21st, 1941. Look, all the people, all the players that went to the airport to welcome Josh Gibson. Here's Pedrin Zorrilla. Look at the face of Josh Gibson. So
Right.
happy to return to Puerto Rico. Here's all the good player here, Luis Rafael Cabrera, El Tigre. He played in the Negro Leagues, the first Puerto Rican pitcher to win 100 games in our league. Uh, and after that they took Gibson to a fiesta, welcome party, and he felt at home, really at home. The three important players that year were Vidal Lopez of Venezuela, great player, playing in the Negro Leagues, and it's a Venezuela icon. Ray Dandridge and Josh Gibson. Josh Gibson was not the manager. The manager that year was Dick C.
But
Gibson, yeah,
I was going to
yeah.
say, but he was selected the most valuable player by El Imparcial newspaper. In this photo, Gibson is with the sports editor, Luisin Rosario, and the league's MVP was Barney Brown.
There's a
So he,
there's a confusion,
hmm,
about the MVP because Gibson always has that trophy. Has Sean Gibson has it in the foundation. He has that trophy. But Gibson was the MVP for El Imparcial newspaper.
hmm,
The MVP of the league was Barney Brown.
interesting. So
Go ahead.
Gibson's thoughts on the 41-42 season. He said, I love that we have a quote from him here. I have experienced many thrills, many spine tingling moments in this great American pastime. As a member of the Homestead Grays, I've been with the Negro National League champ since 1930. I've experienced countless thrills as a circus clouder and as a defenseman behind the plate. I have hit quite a few home runs with the bases loaded, something which comes as a thrill to any baseball player. But oddly enough, my greatest thrill was not experienced through any particular circuit clout or any double or triple that produced the winning margin for our side. The greatest thrill of all my thrills came in the winter of 1941 in Puerto Rico.
Go ahead.
In that particular season, I was doubly honored as the batting champion and the most valuable player in the Puerto Rico League. Playing winter baseball out of the States in a foreign atmosphere has always struck me as unique, but cashing in on two top awards out of the States, the batting championship and the MVP award, was something more than unique. It was my greatest thrill. Receiving the cup symbolic of the most valuable player award at special ceremonies at the end of the season was a highly significant and pleasing event in my life. The fanfare, the cheering of the fans, and many congratulatory speeches from league officials and other dignitaries gave me a thrill unequaled in my career. See, that's really interesting to me because the Negro Leagues didn't have any official awards like that I know of. I mean, I know that some were given out by newspapers as like honorary awards, but there wasn't an actual trophy that he could hold like that. So I can imagine how getting that cup would be such a big deal to him. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that information I got it from Andrew Martin, an article for written by Andrew Martin. You can see it in historianandrew.medium.com.
So his
He's
last season in Puerto Rico was 45-46 when he, at last, was a teammate with his beloved friend Perucha Cepeda. So both of them in the same lineup. But he was playing very sick, and he had his only bad season of his career. He finished with a batting average of 190, no homers, and 14 runs batted in. Pedro Zaria took care of his medical needs and helped him return to Pittsburgh for his final season with the Homestead Grays.
Yeah, he got very sick and nobody knew what he had. And what happened that he had a tumor, a brain tumor, and when that brain tumor, gave him so much pain that he got crazy.
Mhm.
And for example, I knew a person that his father lent Josh Gibson his car, and Josh Gibson got that attack, that pain attack, and it was so painful that he destroyed the car inside. The seat, he took the seats out, he destroyed the car. And nobody, they thought that he was getting crazy, but it was that he had a brain tumor.
It's so sad. And if we want a modern comparison, I remember when some articles came out about some crazy things that the Phillies catcher Darren Dalton was saying, like talking about how he felt like he was abducted by aliens and things like that. And then like a year later, we find out, he has terminal brain tumor and we lose him at a very, very young age. So, I mean, it's something that we've seen in modern times, still happens today, but yeah, you can really, draw that comparison and see what was happening with Gibson then.
It's a picture I got. He's tries to put out Freddie Ton at home at Sixto Escobar Stadium. That's the last season, 1945-46. Now, here I have the numbers in Puerto Rico. That season, 1941-42, that he was MVP for El Imparcial, he batted for 80. That's a record. And he was the first one to hit over 10 homers in Puerto Rico, because for the inner fence, 13 homers. And look at stolen bases. Look, those average. Only this one was bad. He was sick, but that's a very healthy 378, 24 homers.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and that, if you go to Baseball Reference, to his record, it's full of those exact numbers. You can put it in the take a look to the, if you can, to the Baseball Reference, and he won 2 Triple Crowns, I think, in a row, right?
Yeah, I believe so. He has so much bold text on his page that it's hard to tell. Yeah, 36 and 37, he won the Triple Crown, and 39, he only missed an RBI.
Yeah, so to win 2 Triple Crowns as a catcher, that's unbelievable.
And then 1943, he led the league in home runs and runs batted in, but he didn't lead the league in batting average, even though he hit 466. That is unbelievable. Now I'm going to look up who was ahead of him that year, just because I have to know. And it was Totelo Vargas, 471.
Okay. And look, 1945-46, he had a 190 season in Puerto Rico, but he in United States, he returned to the state and he did good.
He did, yeah.
What was the numbers?
He hit 318, which was lower than usual, but he did lead the league with 13 home runs.
And that 318 that he hit in the United States last season, he was sick. He was very sick. Yeah.
Right, because even though he hit 318, that was down from 372. Another thing that's really interesting here is that his batting average in Puerto Rico was 378. And if we look over at his batting average in the Negro Leagues, 374. So very consistent across everywhere he played.
Yeah, good point. So let's go to the next one. As a manager with the Brooklyn Eagles, he had a 15-4 record, two tie games, and with Santurce 24-25. So his overall record was 39-29, 2 games tied with a 573 average. That's very good.
Mhm.
Now we talk about this the other program, but it's about Gibson again. Gibson died in December and in January 1947. Pedrin Zorrilla received this Christmas card dated January 1st, 1947. And he remembered his friend Pedrin Zorrilla and sent him a Christmas postcard in the twilight of his life. It says, Siempre mi hermano, always my brother. 19 days later, he died. The great, there's two things here. First of all, it shows the friendship between the brotherhood between Josh Gibson and Pedrin Zorrilla. The second is that a black person telling a white person in that age,
Mhm.
my brother.
Right.
That's yeah. When I read that post, I saw that postcard. I had it in my hands. Yeah, I saw it, and the first thing I thought was, wow, a black man telling a white man, my brother, siempre mi hermano, always my brother. When Gibson died in January 20th, it got headlines in Puerto Rico. Murió el famoso jugador de color Josh Gibson. That means famous black player Josh Gibson died. That was the sports page of el periódico El Mundo. And in 1974, this is very good. This is great. Pedrin Zorrilla, his son Enrique, Monte Irving, and Ted Page located the unidentified grave of Josh Gibson in Allegheny Cemetery in Pittsburgh. Monte Irving arranged with Commissioner Bobby Kuhn to order a tombstone. So Pedrin Zorrilla, he went to Pittsburgh for the All-Star game, and he said to Ted Page, "I want to pay my respect to Josh Gibson." And when they get to the cemetery, it wasn't identified.
Mm.
And then they went to the office and they told him the number because there was like a cobblestones with a number, and they began to look for that number in all those cobblestone, unidentified. And Enrique, his son, was the one that got to the correct cobblestone. So Pedrin, even in 1974, many years after Josh Gibson died, he always remembered his brother.
That's great. So he was remembered in other ways as well. He was inducted into the Puerto Rico Professional Baseball Hall of Fame in 1996, selected as one of the best 75 players in the Puerto Rican Professional Baseball League in 2014. I'm sure he would be near the top of those 75,
Yeah.
but yeah, they chose 75. And he was the winner of the prestigious Francisco Pancho Coimbre Award in 2021. Oh, I didn't realize that was so recent that he won that award. Can you give
Yeah.
some background on what that award is and how it came about?
Pancho Coimbre, the Francisco Pancho Coimbre Award is a award given to the best players who saw action in Puerto Rico, and always they have been given to Puerto Ricans. And I talked with the Pancho Coimbre Foundation. I said, hey, we should give some Negro leaguers this award, because that award, 2021, it was in 2020, December 2020 was when the Negro Leagues were recognized as big leagues. So I recommended Josh Gibson and Leon Day, and they didn't have no problem. They said, okay, let's and we had Sean Gibson and there's a lady from the Josh Gibson Foundation, Freeman. I don't know, remember her name. Very lovely lady, and the widow of Leon Day was also in the Zoom meeting, and she talked about Leon Day, and she talked about their days in Puerto Rico. And when she came to Puerto Rico once with for old timers, they were in the bus, and fans were all around the bus, and they didn't let everybody wanted to touch Leon Day. And they said she has great memories of Puerto Rico, and not also the countries, but also how Puerto Ricans treat them. They make them feel special, and thank God, that's something appreciate and I thank God because in Puerto Rico never we had that problem of segregation. Um, Now maybe I hope that we can give that award in the near future to the next one, George Scale.
Mm-hmm.
George
George
Scale
Scale
won,
sounds like a great one. Yeah.
yeah, George Scale won 6 titles in Puerto Rico as a manager, so he deserves it. And then will you tell the best 75 players? It would because it was the 75th anniversary of our league, and so we selected 75 players.
That's
But he
great.
will have been in the first, 3 years of the league if they made an
Right.
all-star. He was a great player, and this is good. Testimony by Antonio Feliciano. He has 99 years old. This is the Charles Acheteri Park in Ponce. It had 317, 420, and 416. 317, 320, and 416. And he said that he saw Gibson send the ball twice to the Portuguese River, Rio Portugués. Here's the river. So I went to Google. More or less 495 feet. Here's the river. This is a museum right now. There's not the ballpark, but more or less here was the home plate,
Mm-hmm.
and that's almost 500 feet to the distance.
You could hit it hard.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the testimony by Desiderio de Leon, 96 years old. This is home plate at Ina Calmano Park in Guayama.
Desiderio de Leon was the person that I told you that was the altar boy when Satchel Paige got married.
Mm-hmm.
Remember? And he was the bad boy of Guayama. And he knew very well Satchel Paige, Perkins, and he taught me a lot of Satchel Paige. And this is the home plate of Ina Calimano. This is the school. This school was when Josh Gibson played there. So this is the old school. Here comes the good one.
Oh.
618 feet.
Oh my goodness.
And Desiderio de Leon saw the home run. So it's not that they told him. He said he sent it to the avenue, to the street.
Wow. We just got a comment in. We have been getting some comments, but somebody just said, tell the story about the ghost satchel saw. I don't know if this is something that happened over here. Is that related to what we're talking about now?
The ghost that satchel? No, first time I hear that about the ghost.
Sorry, carry on.
Thank you for all the people that are in the 22 comments. Thank you for all those comments. We're gonna take a look later. Go ahead.
So this is the testimony by Freddie Thon Jr., 84 years old, who was the father of Dickie Thon, which I had no idea that his father, and if you see later in the quote here, his grandfather also played in Puerto Rico. So that was very interesting to me that I found out right before this. So in a doubleheader versus San Juan, Freddie Thon Jr. witnessed Gibson's 11th and 12th home runs in the 41-42 season. In the morning contest, Gibson blasted a long home run over those pine trees in center field off Freddie Thon Sr. His son, Freddie Jr., recalled it was quite a shot. And 3 weeks later, March 1st, 1942, Thon Jr. saw Gibson's first home run in Puerto Rico, a 600-foot rocket that sailed over Escobar's pine trees toward Escambron Beach. That blast was 64 feet further than Caguas's Frank Howard's 536-foot home run off San Juan's Jack Fisher in the 60-61 finals. Frank Howard, very capable of hitting his own huge home runs as well, as we know. Josh Gibson was in his prime, and there was no better hitter in Puerto Rico, or perhaps in organized baseball, from what Dad said, stated Freddie Thon Jr. Gibson was just so strong. And testimony here by Desiderio de Leon, 94 years old. Santurce was playing at Ina Camino Park, home of the Brujos de Guayama. Barney Brown was the pitcher. Josh Gibson disappeared the ball over the school. I love that. No one had seen a home run hit so far as this one, and the fans in the stands became crazy clapping. They wanted Gibson to come out and give him a standing ovation, but Gibson refused. The clapping continued, and then Gibson agreed, and they took him to the center of the diamond, and he got a standing ovation. Gibson tips his cap and walks to the dugout. After the game, they asked him why he did not want to come out, and he said, "I'm not accustomed to that, and I feel the home run I hit is sufficient humiliation for the pitcher."
That story. Desiderio was in that ballpark because he was the bad boy of Guayama. Here's another one of your friend.
Yes, my friend Scott Simkus. He writes on August 22nd, 1935, in Madison, Wisconsin, Josh Gibson circled the bases in 14.7 seconds in a pregame race. And just for reference, Tris Speaker or Earl Combs, both considered fleet-footed center fielders, were both timed at 14.6. So that's a tenth of a second slower. Tenth of a second faster, sorry. Gibson has the fastest time I've seen for a full-time catcher. And Scott has a full chapter in his incredible book, Outsider Baseball, that is dedicated to just collecting these round the base speeds, and literally there's pages and pages of them from all different published reports over time. It's very cool.
Good. This one is good.
All right, another testimony by Enriqueta Marcano, 84 years old. Enriqueta Marcano, the niece of Pedro Nzaria, remembers that one day they were headed to Ponce and a car stuck in a ditch. Gibson said to get back. He stood with his back to the car and lifted it out of the ditch with his strong arms. That brings back vibes of what was it, Chris Davis of the Baltimore Orioles when he was, I think it was when he was actually suspended for PEDs. He actually lifted a car to rescue someone. That's unbelievable story.
And the most unbelievable is that she was there in that car. So it's not that they told her, she was there. Yeah, I saw him lift the car.
Wow.
Go.
I extracted 3 statements included in William Brashler's book, Josh Gibson, A Life in the Negro Leagues, published in 1978. Josh was charmed by the reception he got in Puerto Rico, and for the rest of his life, he would look upon his achievements there as a high point in his career.
This picture, you can see Josh Gibson in 1939. There are black players. You can see here Billy Bird, Monchile Concepcion, Dixie. This is Irán Bithorn, High Bithorn, picture from Chicago Cubs, play for San Juan.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see people, very integrated. And that made Gibson feel at home, feel beloved. It was like heaven for him. Okay.
Nothing in his career gave more pleasure. For in Puerto Rico, he was idolized by fans, recognized and surrounded in the streets, and generally regarded as a celebrity wherever he went on the lush, comfortable island. And I have to admit, the more I read and learn about when Negro League players went and played in Latin America, whether it's Puerto Rico, whether it's Cuba, anywhere really, even Mexico, it seems such an ideal situation for them that I'm almost surprised when I learn that they return to the States, because they say, they're given so much more respect than they were in the United States. In many cases, a lot more money too. Mm-hmm. So I guess it's surprising to me that some of them, almost all of them went back, although some of them didn't, while Bill Wright famously went to Mexico and decided to just stay there. And there were others, I'm sure, that were other examples of that as well.
Yeah, and the worst night of all those Negro Leaguers was the last night in Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. You say, well, I finished today in Puerto Rico, tomorrow I return to the United States, to reality. That last night in Puerto Rico, they must not slept well, because they're returning, they have to return to reality and then wait for the next winter to come back. Puerto Rico, Cuba, Dominican Republic, and Venezuela and Mexico.
Right. And they didn't have to spend the entire week playing these barnstorming matches in between their league games to make ends meet. There was very little travel, particularly in Cuba that I know of. They played pretty much in the same central location.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing.
Now, Cuba was easier because all the games were held at the same stadium.
Mm-hmm.
In Puerto Rico, they had to travel from San Juan to Ponce to Caguas to Mayagüez.
Mm-hmm.
Those roads. Okay, here you see. Here's Josh Gibson, Luis Cabrera, el pitcher, and Pedrin Zorrilla, and another gathering, another fiesta.
For Josh, it was Puerto Rico that he grew most fond of. From his first season down there in 1933, he was an overwhelming hero to local fans. They were amazed at his quiet, awesome power, and they packed the stands to watch him.
And they packed the stands even in practice.
Mm.
Even when the team was practicing, they went to see Josh Gibson.
Once Satchel Paige said, Joshua Gibson was superhuman, the greatest player who ever lived. There will never be another like him in 1,000 years. I agree with him.
I want a special thanks to the Jose M. Lázaro Library personnel at the University of Puerto Rico. Also to Tom Van Heining, Desiderio de León, Freddy Ton Jr., Antonio Feliciano, Ramón Carrasquillo, Dr. Enrique Zorrilla, Enriqueta Marcano, Francis Colberg, Héctor Luis Ortiz, Tomás Bosque, Ryan Christoph, and Miguel Ángel Cancel. All of these wonderful people helped me with information, and with pictures, photos. So I appreciate it, and thanks to you, I could make this presentation for all of you. So we have here some comments, Adam.
Yes, we had quite a few this time. Junior Cancel said he hit the longest home run at Paris Mayagüez.
Mm-hmm.
A Facebook user noted that you had a great shirt. Ed says, "Saludos, Adam and Don Jorge." I might have you take some of the Spanish ones though.
Saludos, Jorge y compañía. Interesantísimo. Very interesting. Great program as usual. Saludos, Jorge. Buenas noches. Good night. Junior Cancel, I saw Sam Baghead play with Mayagüez. Greetings. Saludos on Jorge. Good work. Jaime Denizal, Jonathan Martinez. I got 2022 top star Josh Gibson, legend back rally. Good.
I mean, that's cool just for the fact that in 2022, the Topps trading card company is creating new Josh Gibson cards, which I think that also helps with keeping his legacy alive.
Yeah. There's a lot of Jonathan. Wow. Tell the story about the ghost satchel. So I have to look for that. I don't know. I met Leon Day in 1993 in Camden Yard at the All-Star game. Great work. Thank you. My grandfather was the first Puerto Rican to play in the Negro Leagues 1928-29. He must be talking about Monchile Concepcion. Oh, he's talking about Emilio Navarro. Yeah, Emilio Navarro, the great ball player, my friend too. So amazing. Blessings for your family, for the family, Navarro family. And also Rorito Gonzalez, my blessings to all of you. Thank you, Rorito. Thanks to all the fans. It's the most comments we have received yet in our series. So I'm very happy. Let me get here this. Here we go. Adam, as always, great. Thank you for all your help. Thank you for being with me, Adam. There's a lot of work to do. We hope. I know I don't have the next theme, but for the next month. But for October, the program was going to be Jackie Robinson in Puerto Rico because it's the 50th anniversary of his death, and I'm going to prepare something special about the relationship that had. Excellent relationship that had Jackie Robinson and his experience here in Puerto Rico. So that's going to be in October. But for September, Adam and I'm going to let you know what we're going to talk about in our next program. Adam?
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Jorge. This was a wonderful opportunity for me to just kind of sit back and learn about this great chapter of Josh Gibson's life that I was not aware of until hearing about it tonight. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Adam, and it will be until next month when we will have another program of Negro Leaguers in Puerto Rico.
Looking forward to it. Thanks.